Hey everybody, this morning I'm with a good friend of ours, and so introduce yourself and also then tell us where we are.
Well, my name's Mother Bec, and here we are in the Mission Community 1 of the Oldham and Ashton Deanery.
We're here just to talk about the initiative you're working on at the moment, with particularly around young people. And so why don't you start by telling us, where did the idea come from, what's it called, all of that kind of stuff.
So across the mission community, we are really fortunate to see a number of children come to church. We've got a thriving toddlers ministry and working with children in primary school. However, we noticed over the years that the transition between primary and secondary doesn't always move smoothly, and sometimes young people disappear. We had pioneered a good service called Moving On Up, helping year sixes to prepare for year sevens.
Brilliant.
And this work sort of developed out of there. We run a twice monthly service by, with and for young people called YCT.
YCT, so what does YCT stand for?
YCT stands for Youth Church Thing.
Nice.
When we were developing the idea, we wanted to create something that wasn't necessarily a youth group, but was a place where young people felt comfortable. It would be church, so it would have prayers, it would have opportunity for confession and for communion. We would explore the Bible together, but we didn't want to be too prescriptive about furthering in terms of the format. And we didn't really want to name it. We wanted to let the young people name it. So YCT was a placeholder that sort of stuck.
And they like it. Lovely. So you've started it out. It's been going for a good few months now. What have you seen happen? What's going on?
So, like I mentioned, we hold it twice a month, and we draw both volunteers and young people from across the mission community.
Brilliant.
So this is an opportunity for 5 individual churches to pull their young people together to be encouraged and to grow in faith. It's been wonderful, really, to journey with both the young people and the volunteers as we grow in confidence and trust in one another as the community starts to form. We do a number of things together.
Yep.
We always start with a game related to the theme.
Great.
And then we will explore the Bible. I don't give a talk. Rather, we find a piece of scripture to explore and we ask our questions about it. And sometimes I don't have the answers to those questions, but we put the questions out there anyway. And then we find a way to respond to those questions. So that might be writing a prayer together, or one week when we were exploring climate grief and lament, we planted bulbs in recyclable containers, and those have just budded over the last 6 weeks or so.
Nice.
So finding creative ways to respond to what we read and to pray. We've also made prayer beads. We explored the kingdom of heaven being like a banquet by having a banquet.
Brilliant.
And most recently, we went on a walk in the quarry behind the church where we meet, exploring the sayings of Jesus in John and exploring creation around us for Easter.
Oh, amazing. Really creative, but also doesn't feel as though it needs kind of massive budget. It feels really accessible for everybody. And so you've started to see things. What are your hopes for the young people that are coming along? What do you see them moving on to, and how do you see them growing over the next few months and years?
So for me, it's really important that we understand that young people aren't the church of tomorrow, they're the church of today, and that they have a place to belong and to grow and to serve.
Yeah.
So the young people are involved with communion. I take the communion service because I'm an ordained priest, but the young people act as servers, distributing the bread and wine, but they also will read as part of our looking at the Bible, and they contribute their ideas for topics, and they give me great feedback about what's working and what needs tweaking. I guess for me, one of the biggest gifts I think we can give to young people is critical thinking in faith, to enable them not to be afraid of their questions.
Yep.
We all have questions, whether we're 5, 55 or 85. We've all got questions about the Bible. And I want them to not be afraid of those questions, to know that it's okay to have faith beyond and through those questions. So I see that as one of the main things that we can give young people through YCT, but also community. When you're going to secondary school, a lot of the primary schools around here are really small. They're single form entry, and they're going out into these big secondary schools, which sometimes can feel a bit daunting. And actually we're giving them a community of faith, of like-minded people, of other teenagers and young people who understand what it is to be a Christian in this age. But one of the other big areas of growth that I've seen for myself, but also is for our adult volunteers. Only one of our team was a youth worker before they joined the team. Everybody else is just willing people from our church communities who volunteer in their time because they believe in what we're doing. And they've really grown in confidence as well. I've seen some people start out by saying, okay, I can do the game at the beginning, but I really don't want to do the God stuff. And over time, they've really grown in confidence. And they've built, appropriate relationships with the young people so that they feel comfortable sharing their own faith with the young people and vice versa.
Brilliant. And so the hope would be that you see many more. So you talk about that year 6, year 7. We're coming towards that time now. We're going to open it up more to them again, are you? Or are they already part of that group?
So at the moment, we run YCT from the start of year 6 upwards. And most of the young people who attend are between year 6 and year 8. But like you say, a new year is coming round. And so we've already got programmed in that our last YCT of this term is going to be a barbecue inclusive of year 5s. So they know what they're coming to. For us, that transition period between primary and secondary was really essential, which is why YCT includes that. But just last week, when I met with our current bunch of YCT round the fire pit, drinking hot chocolate and discussing life, we were talking about what the next year might look like, and that they'll all be 1 year older, and they'll be the old hands at YCT, able to encourage their siblings and friends on this new journey together. So I think it will continue to grow up, adding a new year each time. And we discussed maybe when our current year 7s become year 9s, we might split it again. And certainly there are times when the sorts of topics we discuss, we try to be brave in the topics that we discuss. There are times when we subdivide the groups in different ways, and one of those ways we subdivide is by age where appropriate.
That's amazing. So good to hear the story, and we will continue to pray and see what God does through YCT.